Well, that was certainly a show. It wasn't bad, it was just a show. I'm John Renton with my review of WWE NXT, as well as my NXT Takeover Vengeance Day predictions. Why not take two concepts and put them into one video instead of two? Anyway, jumping right on into it with MSK versus Legoland Phantasm. Yes, I know that's not their name, but why not have some fun? Wild and Mendoza, Dusty Classic semifinal for the men's side. The women's side is decided a little bit later. We get flippy shit, and look, it wasn't dull. These guys are all really good athletes. I don't really have much of a reason to care about this match because neither of these teams have been presented the best, though MSK has had a couple good matches. And we get the one dive where the guy does a backflip and the other guy pushes him, but they did it to the outside, round the outside, and Wild does 450, but the knees get up, ouch, that's painful, and Blockbuster on Wild, 1, 2, 3. So, yeah, it served its purpose. MSK are going to the finals to take on, well, I don't really think it was any shock who they were going to end up taking on. Then a Mercedes video package where she says she will take out both Io and Tony to become champion. Okay, that makes sense. It was a well-done package. They did a package on Tony and Io later, basically to, just hype up this women's three-way. And they do good production here, so this served its purpose. I'm excited to see what these women can do. Give them 20 minutes, and I think they could tear the house down. And then Zarya gets a lavish entrance, while the woman that's supposed to be 1,000 years old who made a deal with a dragon for power, but it cost her soul. This is a 1,000-year-old woman who sold her soul to a fucking dragon. I can't get over that. Zarya looks fantastic. She looks fucking phenomenal. I thought she looked good before. She looks even better now. She's in incredible shape. I want this to work. But she's being led around by a woman who's supposed to be 1,000 years old that sold her soul to a fucking dragon. Also, Boa's there. Casey and Caden are there, by the way, because they don't understand why Zarya is like this. Have you not been watching the program? Why didn't you go somewhere and get your friend that was being clearly tortured? Who cares about Boa? Evidently nobody does. But if you cared about Zarya so much, you would have used, I don't know, GPS or something and gotten your friend away from this grudge ghost that never fucking moves. That's a 1,000-year-old woman that sold her soul to a fucking dragon. Anyway, Zarya takes out Cora Jade, the former Elena Black, and just beats her with a high kick really quickly. Cora Jade will do some good things in WWE, and she really does have a bright future. She's only 19. Her and Priscilla Kelly, I think, could be a great team, as they were in the first round of the Women's Dusty Classic. And then Zarya yells at Casey and Caden. Then Caden's like, hey, wait a second. This woman's still sitting in the throne and has done absolutely nothing. So let me go yell at her. Hey, who are you? It's like, this isn't Zarya. What are you doing? And then Caden gets tossed off the stage. Man, attacks on the entranceway always feel so staged to me. I'm proud of these puns. I shouldn't be, but I am. Zarya apologizes to the 1,000-year-old woman. And then the woman does this, like she's going to throw some kind of curveball, or she's going to join the WWE version of the Dark Order, aka Retribution, the group that calls themselves Retribution, and then starts to choke out Boa, and then says, hey, Zarya, go and do this thing. She just does this hand motions like, hey, there's the midget's still there. Knock some sense into Capital Casey Catanzaro. The stupid goddamn, non-mask wearing bitch. That goddamn midget needs to go back to the fucking Munchkin land, where she came from, and never fucking exist on WWE television. She is a fucking idiot, and so are so many goddamn people in that company that don't want to take this pandemic seriously. You want to go out and gather in groups, fine. You want to do that shit, fine. There are some people that have not seen their family for a goddamn year. But no, Casey can go out and have a birthday celebration and have this and everything, and nope, gonna be no repercussions for her, except a kick to the face. Maybe that knocks some sense into her. I have no goddamn idea. I would be happy to not see Capital Casey Catanzaro, and if you can't figure out what letter I'm spelling that with, it kind of falls in line with Casey having a friend that was part of the goddamn Capitol riots, and hey, Casey, you should turn your goddamn friend in. It's all posted over social media. You should fucking turn her in, unless you want to be complicit. You stupid fucking twat. You goddamn midget. You're lucky to even be in wrestling. Go back to doing Ninja Warrior shit, which was impressive, but it was the only good thing that you fucking done, because no amount of gymnastics can cover up for the fact you're a fucking brainless twat. Anyway, Zarya. Love Zarya. Hope she can, somehow make this work, being controlled by a 1,000-year-old woman. That makes no sense. Anyway, Scarlett is spread out all over Regal's desk. He has remarkable self-control, because his eyes were up there. Scarlett's a beautiful woman. Scarlett and Cross are a dynamite duo, off camera and on camera. And she's like, hey, you need to give Cross Escobar next week. Oh, okay, sure, we'll do that. I don't really like Escobar. He's kind of pissed me off. I mean, he didn't say that, but he might as well have. And then the way bring Gargano into the ring, he can barely walk because of a broken arm. That Wade Barrett was trying to oversell is because of the attack that Kishida gave to Gargano last week. And they were trying to do the Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart thing where Bret Hart was in a wheelchair and Shawn Michaels super kicked him. Only they did it way, way worse. Gargano is a very good wrestler. He really is. He can deliver it between the ropes. He has delivered incredible match after incredible match. He's a goddamn workhorse. He is really fucking good. He is bland as fuck as a heel, and I find no interesting things about any of his promos. I like Indy. I really do like Indy. She's statuesque. She's beautiful. She has a presence. She can, grow into her role. Candice can wrestle and is bland. Theory is a creep. He just comes across as creepy. Regal interrupts and says, well, you were cleared yesterday. Oh, that x-ray picture that you put up, that's of the right arm. You hurt your left arm, you goddamn idiot. And by the way, he says he broke the longest and strongest bone in my body. Gross. So, it's ridiculous. He says, by the way, Regal's like, oh, okay, Theory can take your place against Kishida for the North American Championship, or he can forfeit the title. And then he says, wait, why don't you ask Kishida? And he's like, oh, Kishida's not here. They cut back and Kishida's suddenly there. And then Theory does the whole thing where, oh, I didn't notice he was there. How'd you not notice a very talented yet small Japanese man that was right next to you? I mean, he has a personality, unlike Candice. I mean, it's not hard to confuse Kishida with a piece of cardboard with purple hair. And then Kishida proceeds to beat the shit out of him. And then Gargano does the thing where he's pulling the title back. Oh, wait, there's nothing wrong with you. Kicks, and Gargano falls in the wheelchair. And ha, 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 ha. This segment was stupid. Just do something better with the North American Championship and make it not involve Johnny Gargano. Ember and Shotzi versus Indy and Candice. Women's Dusty Classic semifinal. The match happened. Candice can wrestle. Indy is a project. Shotzi and Ember can also wrestle. I really didn't care about this, but I do like the fact that Ember and Shotzi have matching gear. I think that's why it was obvious they were going to win here. Candice does a very stagey Hurricanrana to the outside. It's not like she's the only person doing that, but I'm like, holy shit, if they telegraphed that anymore, we would have been back in the goddamn 1800s. And then Candice nearly missed a dive. I'm glad she's okay because that looked painful. It clips to Candice, and then sent on to both because Indy tries to cover Candice, and Indy gets pinned 1, 2, 3. Shotzi topping Indy. Moving on, Dakota and Raquel versus Ember and Shotzi on Sunday. The winner gets a championship, championship match, a tag team championship match. And then later, Beth Phoenix said shot, not tag team title opportunity. Fucking hate that. It bled over in AEW. Stop saying opportunity. Just say match. You don't have to even say shot if you don't want to anymore. Just say match. That's all you fucking need to say. Anyway, Ciampa and Thatcher talk about how they beat the Undisputed Era last week, and they're going to beat the Grizzled Young Veterans that I always hear as the Grizzled Hung Veterans because I'm a bit weird, and how they're going to beat them a little bit later. And then Santos Escobar talks about facing Cross and says to his henchmen, hey, don't apologize for losing earlier. Go beat up Cross. Go beat up this big man that beat Keith Lee with a separated shoulder. You guys can do that. I believe in you. He didn't believe in them, and that was their fatal error. Balor and Dunn have some comments while video package plays. Well done, and I'm excited to see their match. Theory versus Kishida. Proud Boy ref is here. Great. Proud Boy ref, this goddamn idiot, you can have different beliefs, but this guy is a goddamn Q spreader, and this guy fucking needs to go. He really does. He's a goddamn idiot. Gargano distracts Kishida some, and Kishida does end up targeting his shoulder after he takes over on Theory, but Theory takes back over with some good power moves. And then later we get some outside action. Gross. Armbar on the apron, and Gargano does a super kick. Oh no, his arm's all healed. And then Theory gets dragged under the ring by Dexter Lumis. It was just under the ring the whole goddamn time, just like, yeah, I'm just gonna, oh god, it's my cue. Let me pull him. Hi, Theory. And then Gargano drags him out. Oh wait, it's Lumis, and he's scared. And then Theory gets scared because he doesn't realize that Dexter Lumis is suddenly standing in front of him. This is bad comedy, and I like Dexter Lumis. And then he chokes out Theory with the silence while Kishida has the hoverboard lock on Gargano. Please switch the championship on Sunday. Toni Storm video package. She talked about, they showed her on the beach. They said, they talked about her, being, saying 5 months ago she was going to win. or she was going to come back and win the championship, and they referenced the Mae Young Classic where she beat Io Shirai. So it was a good package. Toni Storm, well-spoken, looks like an athlete. I'm excited to see this match. Imperium package. Improvise, adapt, overcome. They go over Wolf, Eichner, and Bartel. They talk about Walter, but Walter's not there because he's, back home with his family, as he should be. The longest reigning NXT champion, or the most dominant NXT champion in history. Easy to do when the pandemic, and that's not Walter's fault, because Walter, I think, would have dominated and probably held the championship this long had there been no pandemic. But goddamn, we wouldn't have found so many wrestlers exposing themselves as goddamn idiots. But Walter, I don't know when he's losing a championship, but I think it's going to be sometime this year. Maybe at the next Takeover that they have. They have a Takeover if travel restrictions get lifted and they can actually have a crowd there. I think Walter might lose. But Walter has been very impressive. Him versus Dragunov is one of my favorite matches of last year. We come back to Cross having laid out the goons, the Legoland Phantasm goons. Hey, you want something right? Do it yourself. TikTok, all that. And then Scarlett is just looking down and, yeah, I can definitely see why Cross and Scarlett get along well. They complement each other very well. Car shows up. It's Cameron Grimes in a fancy car. He's handing out money to everybody, like the guys that are going to park it. They have valet parking at the Capitol Wrestling Center. And he then arrives. He's handing money out to everybody, I believe, to even Brandy. Not Brandy Rhodes, but Brandy, the one that is, I think, her and Janelle are dating. She's in WWE and he's in AEW, but good on her. Seems like she's got a bright future. There are a whole bunch of others that are there. Alex Zane, who recently got signed, got to see him at indie shows. He says, I was on the wrong side of the building because he was in the crowd and he didn't get any money. And this was fucking painful. And I like Cameron Grimes as far as a character. This was bad. He talks about how Thatcher took him out and how he's going to train and come back and beat him up. But then he said he started playing these video games. Like, why would I wrestle when I can just play video games? Okay, we fucking get it. Vince McMahon hates the fact that his talents are making money on Twitch. It's fucking funny, isn't it? No, it's not. He's like, well, I ran out of video games, so I, went to GameStop. Again, the GameStop stock shit, which was really goddamn hard to say. He made money there, and then he invested in dog coins, the Dogecoin thing, and made more money. Kiss my grits, Regal. You can't do that. This is painful. This is very, very painful. Very fucking painful. And I like Grimes. I don't know why they're doing the dollar store man gimmick, because he's got all this stuff, but he's all fancy, dressed and everything. And it's going to be like the DDP gimmick, where he had a whole bunch of money and then he blows it. We're going to get a Johnny B. Bad version that's going to come back and beat him. Does Mark Marrow have a son? Is he going to get in there and wrestle? That would be very interesting. Get somebody like Mark Marrow to beat him so we can just make this WCW 1995/96. So, Gargano cuts a promo about Kishida. At least I think. I kind of tune out when Gargano talks. He's going to beat him. He is Johnny freaking Takeover, all that. Io package. She is looking forward to the three-way. She's looking forward to taking on 2 women at once. Oh, my. But Io, really, I love Io, and I'm very excited for this. Ciampa and Thatcher versus the Grizzled Young Veterans, Gibson and Drake. And it wasn't bad. Ciampa and Thatcher jumped the bell, and then after things settled down, the Grizzled Young Veterans took over, which I'm still hearing is the Grizzled Hung Veterans because I'm very weird. And Thatcher got targeted. Ciampa got the hot tag. But then later he got hit with a Doomsday device, and then Thatcher got dumped out, and then Ticket to Mayhem 1, 2, 3. So it's the Grizzled Young Veterans versus MSK in the finals. They get a card rundown after they face off at the at the little trophy thing, and then the announcers, run down the card and basically talk about what's going to happen. And then Balor and Dunn are just in there, and they face off and scene. That's pretty much it. It wasn't a bad show. There was some stuff I didn't care about that I went over, but it is what it is. Here's my TakeOver Vengeance Day predictions. Geez, let's see. Okay, this ain't going to take very long. MSK versus Grizzled Young Veterans, Dusty Classic Men's Finals. I picked MSK for this reason. Grizzled Young Veterans versus Lorcan and Birch would be a very good match, but it's heel versus heel. MSK facing Lorcan and Birch, and then the Grizzled Young Veterans beating them for the Tag Team Championships, even though it would be hot potato in the title, wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. Unless you have Lorcan and Birch interfere, and you do a 3-way match later where you have 6 men all Human Centipede together, you could do something like that. But I'm going to pick MSK because they're the faces, and then facing off against Lorcan and Birch I think would be just better storytelling-wise. That being said, if Grizzled Young Veterans win, I will not complain. Kishida versus Gargano for the North American Championship. For the love of God, have Kishida win. Have him win decisively, I'd say, but just have him win. I don't know if he's going to be able to salvage the reputation of the North American Championship that's pretty much in the shitter for a lot of reasons. Not because Gargano got it, even though he has not been an interesting champion since the first time he won it. They got to get it on somebody, have it on somebody for the next, 6 months, have him hold it till the August takeover, and then lose it. And then you've at least established it as a decent championship. Ember and Shotzi versus Dakota and Raquel, Women's Dusty Classic Finals. Dakota and Raquel winning would be interesting, but if they're going to get a shot at the Women's Tag Team Champions, that's going to be against Nia and Shayna. And as cool as it would be to revisit the Dakota-Shayna stuff, I think they're going to go with Ember and Shotzi. They got the matching gear. Dakota and Raquel could win this and, beat the heels, but I think Ember and Shotzi getting it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. You could get the tag titles in NXT, where I think they could actually, be beneficial to the women's division, because Jesus fucking Christ, they ain't beneficial on Raw and SmackDown anymore. They really should just scrap them and make a women's mid-card title, but maybe they'll do that at some point. But I have Ember and Shotzi, but again, much like the men's match, I would not complain if Dakota and Raquel won. Tony versus Io versus Mercedes, three-way NXT Women's Championship match. I would love to see Tony as champion. Mercedes, I think, is going to take the pin, and that's nothing against Mercedes. I really do like Mercedes. I think Io's going to win. As long as Tony doesn't take the pin, I'm not going to complain. I got nothing against Mercedes, but I think Tony beating Io eventually would be a good story. But I think Io's going to hold on to it just a little bit longer. She's about, 8 months into this reign? Because she won it in June? Was it May or June? I think it was June. She won it then and has been a good champion. They need to make sure that they heat up this feud if they're going to have her face Toni Storm, but Io winning would not be the worst thing in the world. I think this could be a show-stealing match, though. The women could end up saving this takeover, even though the men will put in the effort. Though I think the best match and the longest match will end up being Pete Dunne versus Finn Balor, NXT title, Balor. I have Balor winning. Now, if Dunne won, man, it'd be one and done. Ha! Oh, I hate myself for that. I would be okay with it, but I think Balor's winning here. I think Balor's going to lose to Cross. They're giving Cross Escobar for the foreseeable future, or at least, for a placeholder feud, and then Cross is going to face off against Balor. And the next takeover they're going to have is going to be right before Mania. Wherever that ends up happening is subject to debate, given the ongoing pandemic and all the stuff in Florida. But if they could end up having a vaccinated crowd, hopefully, any anti-vaxxers like Nia, anti-vax, that stupid bitch, then, or maybe like Casey. I bet Casey's an anti-vaxxer because she's a goddamn idiot, who should really turn her friend in that was part of the Capitol riots. Stupid bitch. Anyway, I have Balor winning, and I have Balor dropping it to Cross. Balor's going to bring out the demon. Cross is going to beat the demon. Pete Dunne and Balor are going to have an incredible match. If Dunne wins, I'm going to cheer. I'm not going to complain regardless of who wins here, unless it's Gargano, because Jesus fucking Christ. But those are my picks. So I do have Balor winning. So I don't have a lot of time. I have one title changing hands. That's going to be the North American Championship. Anyway, agree, disagree with what I said. Like, share, subscribe. Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Ritlin. I'll see you soon.